What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday night. Welcome to Deep in the Plus. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside, and tonight we're going to be talking about something pretty cool, but I got to bring in the cool expert, Mr. Patrick Hackett, and I'm not going to bring him in. There he is. There he is. What's going on, fella? I can't hear you. You're muted.
I really have gone a long time without doing that.
Well, congratulations. Tonight's the night.
Thanks.
Hey, you know what, Patrick? Do you remember the Great Movie Ride?
Oh, man. I know we all remember the Great Movie Ride.
Yeah.
It has a lot of great memories.
Yeah. Do you remember when Fast Pass was a thing?
Too soon, Rob. Too soon.
Do you remember the Titans, Patrick?
Left side.
Strong side. Yeah, we're going to talk about Remember the Titans tonight, everybody. So thank you for joining us. We're very excited to talk about this. Patrick, you reached out and you were like, dude, it's football season. We got to talk about a football movie. And this is a classic Disney sports movie. So tell me what this one means to you, man.
Man, this movie means a lot to me. I don't think I can watch it. I was trying really hard to not get emotional watching it this time, and I could not. The emotion overwhelms me. That score is incredible. It actually helped me bond with a lot of my college classmates because going to school in Philadelphia, we had a lot of people from Virginia. So one of my really close friends, her school was Herndon High, the Hornets, who are featured and then dismantled by the Titans. So it means a lot to me, man. It's a seminal part of kind of my coming of age, and it's we're going to talk about it a lot, and I think it's a lot better than a lot of people think it is.
Yeah, a lot of people, because we got left side, strong side, white side. So a lot of people mentioned that in the chat. Good. So thanks, Leaf.
So good. Nice job, chat.
I usually get the Killers. Like I'm Mr. Brightside. I get that. Like I'm Mr. Whiteside. I get that one a lot too. But yeah, so I'm no shame in that one. But let me just say, Disney. This is based on a true story. The Remember the Titans is based on a true story, and so Disney with the true story stuff, they did Miracle, they did The Rookie, these sports movies based on real things. The Mighty Ducks, Heavyweights, The Sandlot 2. You know, the movies that are.
Oh man.
Okay, maybe I took a turn there, but Cool Runnings, that kind of stuff. So it's really cool when they do, when they take these movies and you know that it's a real thing. The Blind Side, there's another great one that's not a Disney one, but the football movie that's a really good one. So I'm always excited about these. We did a review on Invincible. That again, another great one that the true story thing. But I love it when I don't know the story. When I know the story, I'm always waiting for that shoe to drop. When you don't know the story, you're like, where is this going? And so I was really excited about that. Here's what I didn't like right off the bat, though, and I will tell you because I spent a lot of time in Virginia. My parents grew up in Virginia. The girl who was in the opening scene as the daughter, we start in the future a little bit. It's 1981. Yep.
One of my least favorite movie tropes that they do.
Yeah, starting and then going backwards. So we start there, and when we start there, the girl who's narrating is supposed to be from Virginia, and she's talking in a very bad Virginia accent.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
It's offensive. It's borderline offensive. I'm okay with that though.
Virginia.
Yeah. Virginia. No, we're not doing that either.
Come on.
This movie came out in 2000. It was an hour 54 minutes. I think it went by pretty quickly for an hour 54 minute movie. Yeah. And then it's in 2000, but it starts out in Alexandria, Virginia, in 1981. She's giving some exposition of what why they're here or whatever. We don't really know why these people are gathering, and then she takes us back to I guess 1971. And the story of a town that is being integrated with busing. And that was the big thing. Yeah. So.
And this is not, outside of our lifetime. It's just outside of my lifetime, Rob. I think it's towards the beginning of your lifetime. But this is
don't throw me into stuff you don't know about.
This is 50 years ago, and it's important as we see with the world going around us right now that we kind of focus and realize as far as we haven't come really far. It's crazy to think about this. This is my sister was born in 71. I'm born in 81. Like, this is people who we know and are around now and can tell these stories. It's it's an important story to tell.
Yes, I agree. So when it starts, we've got there's the race integration is a huge part of where they drop us in 1971. One of the things that happens though is not about the integration that bothers me. It's about the bad acting.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah. So right off the bat, I'm already annoyed with the woman with the bad Virginia accent. These two dudes are the worst actors in the entire movie. And it's just a quick scene.
I don't think that they're the worst, because I think somebody who gets a little bit more screen time is worse, and he's in this scene right next.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So anyway, when this one opens up, it's like he's like, "This is my store," and he's like, "You've caused enough trouble already." Like, I mean, it just hurt. And I'm like, is this where this movie's going? But then they kind of save it a little bit later. Tell me who you think the bad actor is.
The guy who plays Ray. He's horrible.
What about this dude?
He has some moments, and whoever decided to leave that dramatic point in, like, the editor should probably have lost their job. It was really that dramatic point where he just gets in the coach and, like, it's not scary, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah, I almost think they overact, but maybe not. I mean, the problem is they've got to throw us into this world immediately, where we're like, where they're talking about how much confrontation that there is, and in doing so, they, I think, overplay the confrontation. But again, they got to put us there fast, because it was a big deal and it was very volatile, and they've got to kind of put us there. So, the baseline of it is that two schools are coming together to create this T.C. Williams High School in 1971. And before it ever starts, the first thing they're worried about, because it's a Virginia high school in 1971, is football. And how that football team is going to be put together. And so the two sides come together, and then we find out at the last minute that this, like, coach who's bound for this is, I guess, Will Patton's character, who's bound for the Hall of Fame. Which Hall of Fame, I don't know, but he's bound for the Hall of Fame.
Virginia State Football Hall of Fame is my guess. I guess.
Yeah, and then so he's bound for it, and then this other coach shows up from the other school, and it's Denzel Washington, and they're like, "Hey, by the way, he's going to be the head coach, not you." And then, of course, that
didn't play out how I remembered it. I remembered that differently than how it worked. I thought those scenes were actually pretty good, with Denzel talking, say, "Hey, this is the whole reason why I left. Is that they gave me the job because they gave someone else the job because I was a black man." And he's like, "I don't want to do that to someone else." I did not remember that. For a minute, I thought maybe they were like co-coaches or something along those lines. I completely had forgotten about that storyline. And it's weird. There could have been something else to it, I feel.
Can I ask you this question right off the top?
Sure,
is this Denzel Washington's best movie?
It is not his best movie, but it's a better performance than he won the Academy Award for. He
really
actually
good.
Very good.
Yeah, because I mean, he is this coach who's very he's very family oriented. He's very community oriented. He's putting in the work, and he has high expectations of his players. And as that rolls out with the different speeches he makes, I'm just like, every new speech that he makes, I'm like, yes, how do I work that into my life? It's very motivational.
The Gettysburg speech, man.
Yes.
Such a tremendous performance. Way, way better. Like, Training Day is a garbage movie. And it's a shame that with all the great roles Denzel has gotten over the years, that's what they gave him Best Actor for. It was very much felt like a Lifetime Achievement Award instead of actually based on quality of film.
I've seen that. I'm not sure that wasn't true of many people over the years. Mm-hmm. Like, was Birdman really Michael Keaton's best movie?
He's good in it, though.
Yeah,
he's really good in it. That's tough.
So when we go on from here, and I hope that becomes a thing. But anyway, when we go on from here, he's meeting with his team, and kind of letting them know that it's really about the best players, right? And so this one guy who is Petey, played by Donald Faison, who I love. He is the
Yeah,
best.
yeah, he's tremendous.
Scrubs, he's great. He and Zach have their own podcast. It was like real
underrated character actor too. Josie and the Pussycats. He's tremendous in his little role in, I think, Pitch Perfect 2 with Joe LaTrulia. Oh man, he's so much fun.
Yeah, so I like him a lot in this, and he plays Petey, and Petey is smiling. He's like, "Why are you smiling?" And the part where he's like, "You think football's fun?" And he's just like,
little Joe Pesci.
Yeah, and as he like breaks him down, like it's like the whole
zero fun, sir.
And then the part where he's like, "It's not a democracy, it's a dictatorship," and I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And then when the other coach comes in and brings his team in, this was a journey for him, though, because he had thought that he wasn't going to be a part of this new team because he was the guy, he was the man, and it really wasn't for him, I don't think, about race as much as it was he felt it was unfair. Because he didn't really know Coach Boone, but he was not really giving him a chance at this point. And so he's like, you know what? My guys aren't going to play unless I'm there. So he feels like he's going to go ahead and put that olive branch out there.
He owed it to the kids.
Yeah.
And, if you get involved in small town high school sports and politics, people feel that a lot. There's a lot of people who hang on to jobs for a long time because they feel like they owe it to the kids.
So he brings his team in, and then Boone doesn't like this. He takes him out, and he says this line, which I wrote down because I loved it. "You're overcooking my grits, coach." Got to put that one in my vernacular immediately. So then they all get on a bus together, actually 2 buses, and there's a whole scene about that.
Which is drawn directly from real life.
Really?
Coach Boone actually did that. He said, I forced them to integrate from the first moment. And before they get on the bus, we have that scene with both Ryan Hurst and Burgess Jenkins playing Bertier and Ray Buds, where they say that they want half the positions and all of the defense. God, that was really, really bad acting.
Yeah, it was one of Hurst's earlier movies, though, right? Like one of his first couple?
It's up there for him. Ryan Hurst has actually a really extensive IMDb.
Yeah,
but a lot of it
does.
is a little bits and pieces here. Bertier is his first large role, and for Ray Bud, the guy who plays Ray Buds, he's gone on to do a lot. I think he's one of the stars in the Chicago Med series. But yeah, this was a big role for him, and he just really whiffs it.
Well, I mean, he's supposed to be the bad guy. I mean, and
don't do this to me again. We're not doing this again where you convince me that someone who's acting badly is actually doing that to annoy me and is doing a good job.
I was right about Dean Jones.
I'm not sure you were, but you convinced me.
Okay, all right. So anyway, he's the bad guy, Ray's the bad guy, and if you hate him for his acting, then at least you hate him for something already. And so, you got to hate him in this because he's the bad guy. But so then the Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin thing, do you think that really happened? Like you were saying,
I don't think that really happened.
Okay.
The bus thing, looking because I do not extensive research. I look at IMDb about the movie.
I do a little research ish.
That this actually happened. That they obviously segregated themselves by bus, and he mixed it up. And I think that segregating the team by offense and defense is probably one of the smartest things you can do to kind of help build those bonds.
Okay. That was a hard stop for you, my friend. Okay. So they get on the buses and they go to camp at a college. I never played high school football. Is that a normal thing to do, is to take the kids away for 2 weeks to a college to do?
I don't know for 2 weeks, but I know camp outside of school is very traditionally done, especially in the high level programs. I mean, even in some colleges up here in the Northeast, we'll send our baseball teams down to Florida for a week, 2 weeks to do camp. So, it's not outside of the realm of possibilities. It could happen.
I know that the Washington football team used to go to Carlisle, Pennsylvania for their camp. That's what I know. You're welcome. They don't do that anymore. I think it's Richmond. But anyway, so he goes and he takes the team, and he is explaining his philosophy is that he expects perfection from them, and that, you know, if they drop the ball, they're going to run a mile, and if they, you know, if they miss a tackle, they're going to run a mile. And so he's really trying to instill in them that he's a no-nonsense coach. He expects a lot. He should get a lot. And that at that point, everybody's pushing back on him a little bit, going, "Coach, you're being too hard on these kids. You know, this is too much."
He totally is, because my wife watched this with me. She's like, "That's abuse, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, that's definitely abuse." Like 3 a days, 4 a days, those things don't happen anymore. And there's a place for it, I feel. I think when you're dealing with this severe of a situation, you had to break these kids down to build them up and let them hate a common enemy.
I don't like this.
Good call. Moving on.
So here's another one. That just to go back a second, because when I'm watching this movie, I'm going to put a pause on us talking about the story and talk about the actors, because when it opened up, like I said, I hated the little girl, like the grown-up little girl, the bad thing, but Hayden Panettiere, I don't remember her being in this, and
little Spitfire.
She was kind of awesome in this.
I mean, she's awesome.
As soon as I saw her in it, I was like, "Oh, I know who that is. That's Save the Cheerleader, Save the World."
Save the World.
Yeah. So as soon as she came up, and then I was just, you know, she is a tomboy. She's daddy's girl. She thinks she's his assistant coach. She's upset and takes it personal when he is, you know, bumped back down to assistant coach, and so she doesn't like Boone from the get-go because of that. And then, you know, and then she's out there and she goes to camp with them, which seems a little weird.
Weird.
And then she's out there and she's yelling at him and, you know, telling him what's wrong and all that kind of stuff. So it was a neat part, but she was a really good kid actor. I mean, I think she really nailed this.
I don't know how much you watch SNL, but Vanessa Bayer used to do this like kid actor bit on Weekend Update where everything is over dramatic, and you really run into that. But she crushes it. Her and I think it was Nicole Ari Parker who played Coach Boone's daughter. Them playing off of each other was really good. Hayden Panettiere kind of like dropped off the map. She married like Vladimir Klitschko and then was gone. I thought she was a tremendous actress.
Well, she was in Nashville. Just putting that out there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was a good show. I didn't watch it, but no, good show. Heard good things.
And then Donald Faison as Petey. We talked about him for a minute, you know, from Scrubs, and that's, like you said, a lot of little parts that he's done. I think he was really good in this movie too, and I don't think I remember him being in there. Ethan Suplee.
Oh man, he's just the best. He's one of my favorite actors, and the dude apparently has got himself into tremendous shape, and good for him, but he's always so good in serious roles and comedy roles. He's in a bunch of the Kevin Smith movies. He has a fantastic dramatic turn in American History X. Just a really solid actor.
Yeah, and the funny part is that apparently he was like 500 and some pounds in this movie.
Yeah, man.
And that was, I'm sure, at his highest. But I've got this little shot of him now where he's kind of like, he is quite the opposite. He is cut, as the kids say. So I don't know. I wouldn't want to meet up with him now. But, you know, again, his character is sort of a bridge character because he feels like he fits in more with the black kids than he does with the white kids because he doesn't get it, which is like, that's where we all want to be, right? Is that place where we don't really get that there's a difference. And so he's sitting down at the table and he, you know, they're like, I don't think you belong here. And then he starts singing with them, and then he knows all about them. And
his relationship with Rev is just so good. Yeah. And, you know, we were talking a lot about Denzel's performance, but that little part where he takes him aside and he talks about how he's going to help tutor him, man, it's just, it feels so authentic. Mm-hmm. Like it's a good feeling. I got a little bit of goosebumps going on thinking about it. But yeah, it's there's a lot of military influence in this with both Ethan Splee's character and then also when we get to Ronnie Sunshine Bass, is that these guys who come from military families, it seems that the respect is given kind of across the board instead of picking and choose by color.
Yep. All right. So these guys we talked about a little bit. It's Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin.
Yeah.
I mean,
not the best actors in the group.
But again, I mean, they're kind of a big deal, right? So I don't know. I like this movie already, and then when I go back and look at it and see all these actors, this is an okay shot of
jam-packed.
Mr. Ryan Gosling over here.
Ryan Gosling, who the scene where he's talking about country music, also immediately gave me La La Land flashbacks. But he was so dorky and adorable. It's like, it's weird that he became this huge Hollywood sex symbol when he's just kind of like a little goofy, doofy guy there. He plays his part really well, especially when he gives up his spot to Petey and he realizes that he needed to do that. Yes, that's the scene. Look at that face. Oh man.
Well,
you get a little. Oh, go ahead.
I just, like, again, I don't know that I remember Ryan Gosling being in this. I didn't remember Donald Faison being in it. I didn't remember Ethan Suplee being in it. I didn't remember Hayden Panettiere being in it. And so, all I knew.
What about Lois Lane? Kate Bosworth.
Oh, Kate Bosworth. Yes, Kate Bosworth is in it. When you said Lois Lane, I was racking my brain, like, which Lois Lane do you mean?
How many Lois Lanes do I know?
She's from the most forgotten Lois Lane movie because she's from Superman Returns, but
which is a very bad movie.
I don't hate it.
We'll talk about that on DC in the Plus, HBO to the max.
Outside the Disney bubble, I don't know. And then you've got the main dudes, Will Patton and Denzel. So and they're playing the coaches. I think again, I feel like Denzel did an amazing job in this. I feel like Will Patton was just Will Patton. Like there's nothing wrong with his performance, but I feel like it was just like every other performance he's ever given.
Yeah, he's like a solid second, third banana kind of guy. He's not going to hurt you with his performance. He's like a backup running back to keep it football related.
Yeah. Okay. So coach is being hard on them. They're still having a problem getting along. He's given them this assignment. They need to learn a little bit about each other. They're still not clicking, connecting. And so he takes them on a mid-morning run, and they end up at the Gettysburg Cemetery. And this one you said was a big, big moment for you.
Yeah, man, this is like chills. The music is just perfect. I didn't check out who scored this, but they did an absolutely tremendous job. And Denzel's delivery is just spot on. And, if you ever get the opportunity, go visit Gettysburg, go visit Valley Forge, and kind of feel like your history speaking to you. And it's very, very germane to the story of this movie, what happened at Gettysburg. I don't think they could have picked a better backdrop for it. It was perfect all the way around.
So Trevor Rabin did the music. I don't know if he actually did the score itself, but he was in charge of music for this movie. That I know because he also, oddly enough, is behind the music from the next movie that we're doing.
Get out of here. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Next week we're going to be doing Sorcerer's Apprentice, which was also Jerry Bruckheimer, which was also Trevor Rabin.
He's a Jerry Bruckheimer guy.
Yeah, so I guess so.
I was hoping to get to do that one with you because I fell asleep during that movie, and I don't know if I've ever finished it.
You can watch it anytime you want to on Disney Plus. No?
I got you.
Yeah. So anyway, at this point, again, the team's starting to come together after the Gettysburg thing. They have a night practice, and that's when the whole left side, strong side thing really kind of takes hold. Which, again, is such a fun thing to chant. And as a matter of fact, anytime anybody brings up this movie, that's usually the first thing they say.
Yeah.
Left side,
strong side.
Yeah. And now you can attach my name to that. That'll be fun.
White side.
Moment,
that doesn't work real well with this movie.
No, it sure doesn't. It sure doesn't. That's why I said my name and I didn't actually say it. So the last piece of this puzzle, which is odd, is Sunshine. Like, why does Sunshine come separately from everybody else? This reminds me of a scene. I don't know if you know the movie The Bad News Bears, but
Of course I know.
this reminds me of a scene from The Bad News Bears where it's like, we got our team together, but oh, somebody's coming up in a car. Who could this be?
Yeah.
I don't know. Sunshine's interesting.
Yeah, one of the only ones who really went on to have a significant football career after, played at UCLA for a while. Ronnie Bass, not Kip Pardue.
No? Okay.
No. Kip Pardue did graduate from Yale University here in New Haven, Connecticut. So, hey, with a degree in economics.
Nice. That is that's pretty deep. That's pretty deep.
Yeah.
So then they get into the Yo Mama jokes.
Which is amazing, too. I forgot about this scene. It's so good.
I mean, the funny part to me, and this reminds me a little bit of, you and I did a review of The Sandlot, and when we did that, we were talking about, like, Ham being behind the plate and just tearing these guys up.
Yakking.
And how good that was. That's what this scene reminds me of, is like Gary is his name. He's like
Gary Bertier.
He's very confused about what's happening. He's not familiar with the Yo Mama.
I think that really adds to it, because it's this fun scene, but then there's layers on top of it where you're talking about the cultural differences, where he's very offended, especially because he has a single mom and his mom's raising him, and Julius, and that relationship is fantastic. Kind of gets him to know that this is a breaking in. It's kind of how you treat your friends, which is weird.
No, you're right. And so after this, they've all bonded. They're a team now. They're a team. Everything is happy. We can end the movie here, right?
Yeah, sure.
No. We must press on.
No.
So they're on the bus on the way back, and they're showing that they're all just, I mean, they couldn't be happier to
Kumbaya.
be. They're hanging out together. They're smiling. They're laughing. They're having a good time. They're like, we did it, man. We became a team.
We solved racism. Good
solved
job,
it.
us.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they roll up to the school. Bum, bum, bum. Racism's back.
That guy is a very believable racist. I don't know if that says something about him as a person or as an actor, but man, he is believable.
And then they cut to them at the school, and they're going to school, and they're like, oh, well, I mean, I guess we were like living in a bubble, and now we're back in reality. And part of that is Gary's girlfriend is, now he's got to come to grips with the fact that she's just the worst. So, and then there's Kate.
That's a really tough scene.
Yeah.
It's a really tough scene.
There's a lot of it that's really hard. I mean, it really
is,
because I don't know, again, the way they present it. He's not only got to take this team and make them great, but he's also got to fuse this bond in a time when that bond can't be made. And so it's like he's got Coach Boone we're talking about here has this huge thing, this huge undertaking to do. My wife always said that she was always annoyed by the teacher movies that they had, where the teacher from the good school comes into the wrong side of the tracks and she's with the heart of gold and changes the whole thing around like that, because it's hard to change that kind of culture. And in a way, I gotta imagine that if you're a coach who was in this similar situation, you would have been like, it could never be this easy to do, because he really, and it was not saying it was super easy, but he changes the entire scope of this, not only the kids' lives, but the town. And so having to do that and the football, again, whether it was to this level or not, that has to be something that Coach Boone would have been super proud of, making that happen. I mean, even if he made any difference, which this movie makes it seem like he made all the difference, but again, it's a Disney movie. If he made any difference in this whole community like this, it must have been just incredibly hard to do. I
mean, I think football was the glue that was kind of holding it all together in this situation. I don't know how much of it is based in reality, and we are dealing with the Disneyfication of a real-life event. But they were keeping the fights to a minimum at the school because they didn't want to lose their football season. Bertier and Julius both had significant All-American type seasons where they're going to college. This is a lot of ways, out of poverty and a lot of ways to help your family. So they needed to do whatever they had to do to keep football going. And I think Coach Boone kind of played into that and making sure that the success helped build that glue. It was kind of like you're mixing concrete in your cement if you've ever done construction.
I have not.
Me either, but I ran out of things to say, so.
You were vamping. Oh, see, I was just letting you go, and you were vamping.
No, I was reaching for something, and it just nothing there.
Well, let me just say that if you have not already, please give us a thumbs up. It would really help us out for people to find this. I do think, though, that when we do review a sports movie, we don't get quite the same enthusiasm from people. But I love them. I love these movies, and again, when you go to Disney Plus and you're looking for something to watch, you can't just watch all the Marvel movies and you can't just watch all the Star Wars movies. And I mean, you mix it up a little bit, and you watch a documentary and you watch
I watch a lot of documentaries.
Yeah.
I've been pushing to try and do some documentaries on here. I wonder how they would the audience would take it. But man, there is you open the show with it. There's something about a Disney sports movie. Miracle. Cool Runnings, like I don't like The Rookie that much. I think there's better baseball movies, but they just have the way of tugging at your heartstrings.
$1 Million Arm?
Oh my God, that's an old one. Yeah, right?
No, $1 Million Duck is an old one. $1 Million Arm is a John Hamm movie.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
Mcfarland USA? Did you see that one?
No, but my wife bought that for me on DVD or Blu-ray a while back. I don't know if I ever watched it. It's supposed to be really good.
It is. It's a Disney movie about running rather than it about.
Yeah.
But it's really it is really good. So let me take this moment where we've got a break here and ask you some trivia questions because I know you love it.
As I was watching this and as I was getting ready for tonight, I'm like, I did not pay enough attention to people's numbers.
How did you know numbers was one of the things I was going to ask?
Oh, man, because you always ask.
Okay.
I always find numbers.
I only have one character's number, that like his team jersey number that I want to ask you.
All right.
And it's because it was the biggest jersey on the field, Ethan Suplee. What was his number?
I'm going to guess that most offensive linemen go at 69.
No, 73.
No. Okay.
Here's another number, but it's a date. When they finally start school, do you remember the date? They say it on the screen. First day of school, T.C. Williams.
September 3rd, 1971.
It's the 4th, but wow, that's impressive. Yes.
Oh, man.
Who's the first team that they play?
Oh, I was trying to take note of this. The third team they play is Groveton. I don't remember the first two.
The Hawks.
The Hawks.
Yeah. I was just picking that out. There is a scene where Boone is trying to inspire one of his players, and I think it was maybe Ryan Gosling's character, but he's trying to inspire one of the players, and he says, "I had how many
12.
Okay, and the real number is
8.
You did it. That's exactly it. So he's like, I had 12 brothers and sisters. And then he's like, did you really have 12? He said, I had 8, but 12 sounds better.
It's better. The guy who plays his assistant coach does a tremendous job. I think he's kind of like in the background, but every little thing he does is a nice compliment. That reminded me of a scene in Any Given Sunday when Al Pacino's talking to Willie Beeman, one of the all-time great movie football players, and he's talking about, growing up on the streets, mom and dad. I was like, oh man, I don't remember the order that these movies came out in. Did that lift from Remember the Titans, or did Remember the Titans lift from Any Given Sunday?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. The world may never know.
No, that's the Tootsie Pop.
Oh, okay. Any Given Sunday was first.
Okay, so there's a montage where they go through and they kind of show as the team is winning, the town is rallying. They show this like movie montage.
Yep.
What's the name of the song they play?
Oh man, let me just pause real quick. The soundtrack is fantastic. Not only is the score, but the soundtrack hits everything just right. It's such a good song. Go ahead, Rob, hit me.
Here's the thing about it, though, is I went back to double fact check to make sure that it was from 1971. Because a lot of times in movies, they'll pull out a song that sounds of the era, and it's like 5 years later. It was the Hollies.
Yep.
It was Long Cool Woman.
Yes, very good. Little Green Bag was in it for a little bit. It's a good song. I thought you were going to ask me what they were eating at the diner before they got told that Titans no longer eat free, and they were just folding up waffles and eating huge waffles. It was tremendous.
Yes, it is. All right, so and then the last question I have for you is on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Captain Holt has a dog. What's the dog's name?
Cheddar.
There you go.
Come on now.
I know, right? The things that matter in life, you know. Absolutely, 100%. You know that. So back to the movie. This is right as they're getting ready to get started. Coach is out on the field. The guy comes in and goes, look, Coach, I tried to fight for you. I put you in a bad situation here. But basically, if you lose any game, they will fire you. And it's like, oh, thanks for that. That's a really inspiring thing to tell me right before the season starts. You know, there's the pick-me-up we're all looking for, right, is that if you lose a single game this season, then you're out.
Yeah. That's easy to do. Don't worry about it. We'll be fine with this newly integrated school and football team and a head coach and an assistant coach who aren't exactly seeing eye to eye.
I mean, even in the best of situations, you never expect a new program to go undefeated, even in the best of situations. And this is basically the worst of situations for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the absolute worst of situations. And I mean, the team legitimately went 13-0, won a state championship, pitched 9 shutouts. So Coach Yost in that defense, he had something going.
Well, so the thing about Coach Yost and the defense in this is that you've got Petey, who is kind of this very pompous running back, and he thinks he's the best thing that ever happened.
Running back.
He cannot make it work, and so Coach pulls him out, and then Yost goes over to him and goes, hey, man, I think you'd be great on defense because we're getting killed because Ryan Gosling is awful.
Ryan Gosling is off listening to jazz records and country records, and he's just not focused on the game. He's taking his shirt off randomly.
Yeah, so he's not doing well. So he goes and gets him and says to Petey, you should go in and you can play corner. And so he puts him in.
He says linebacker, but he gives him the instructions of a cornerback.
He is definitely a corner. I mean,
he's
right?
definitely a corner in the secondary. He's not playing linebacker, yeah.
So he puts him back in the game. Maybe they don't know what football is. Did we lose a really important thread of this movie? Is that they don't know about football? So he puts him back in. It puts him in the game, and he does great. And he wins the game. And they're strutting downtown. And even as they strut downtown, Ryan Gosling's still second string to him. Look at him. He's like in second position in the. It's something. But he's got the game ball. He helps them to win the game because he was on defense. I think it's a little bit tougher than that to switch to defense.
I think so, but they made a point of saying, "Hey, you just got to stick on this one guy." So maybe they kind of coached him up, and then eventually he does have to relinquish his position because he's not quite as skilled and as knowledgeable as defense.
Yep. So they go back into town, and they've won the game, and they've changed lives forever. Everyone except for mean old Kate Bosworth. She's just not having it at this point still, which is tough for Gary because Gary loves Chunk. No, that's not. Am I wrong? That's not.
Different movie.
Different movie. Thank you. So she is. She's part of the whole problem here. And then they go into the diner and they get kicked out of the diner. And then they're mad there. Now, there's an interesting thing about the diner scene to me. If you go into the extras on Disney Plus, and I've talked about this a million times, we'll talk about it a million more, is that the Disney Plus library of extras should be larger than it is because every one of these movies has.
I have this has such great features on the Blu-ray or DVD. I don't remember which I have, but
hours of extras.
Yeah.
There are 7 minutes of extras, which I was like, at least there's something. But there's 7 minutes of extras. And so one of them is the deleted scene where it's called like Sunshine Returns or something like that, where he brings his dad back and they actually get to sit down at the bar. So you should watch that. But again, there's not a ton of making of on this one, but that at least was an interesting deleted scene.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm ready. Let's go.
So
moving on.
Yeah. So they're still having problems with the fact that there's still problems in the community. There's still a
deep divide.
Yeah, Gary's mom is part of the divide. The town still is behind Yost that thinks he should be the head coach still. They're still fighting back and forth about it. And at this point, Sunshine has still not been the quarterback. At this point, it's still Rev as the quarterback. And then he gets hurt. And they put in Sunshine.
Well, two separate notes on that. Number one, I really like this scene and how it kind of leads to Bertier really getting his leadership on the team and stepping out of his comfort zone as a white person and bringing it back to being a football player first. And this is, you look out for your teammates. I grew up in professional wrestling. You take care of each other in the ring. And Ray Buds, which is a terrible name, had somebody hurt. The separate note is, this is an incredibly difficult offense to run. Sure, it's 6 plays, but it's read options, it's run pass options, it's the veer. There's complicated schemes, and it's not surprising that Sunshine can't run it. I mean, it's a tough offense.
Yeah. I have a problem playing Madden. And all those are already like baked into the game, so you just have to hit some buttons. So you were talking about Sunshine again because I feel like you like Sunshine.
I do. I love the character.
All the girls love Sunshine. They think he's dreamy. And then Petey's like, well, but he's from California, and they're like, yeah. Yeah, it's exactly. And they're like, well, that means everything to them, and they think he's dreamy. Yeah. So there's a lot of I mean, we're battling the integration thing in this movie, and then you bring in this element where you don't know Sonny's like Sunshine's sexuality necessarily, because he makes it very ambiguous, which is again something else in this town that they're trying to overcome. And we're dealing with that topic now. And then you also have the little girls, where Yost's little girl is a tomboy, and Boone's little girl is just a very classic
prim and proper.
And she's playing with dolls. She's just done her nails. She's she likes to wear dresses. Whereas Yost's daughter is like, she wants to shoot hoops, and she's wearing pants and the pigtails and the whole thing. And so there's a gender thing there as well about
there's layers on layers here. And for what we usually consider kind of like a hokey Disney sports movie, there's actually a lot of oomph and stuff in here, and it's a lot about people coming together and going against misconceptions. It's really well done, and I think with a less craftful hand, it could have been really heavy-handed.
Well, and there's a lot of this that doesn't feel like a Disney movie.
Yep.
And I think that without the Disney name on it, could have been Touchstone. It could have been something else. It didn't necessarily have to be a Disney movie. It does have that Disney ending. It is, a very positive, uplifting movie. It has that Cool Runnings vibe, the whole deal. But it doesn't necessarily feel like a classic Disney movie. It feels bigger to me than that, and that's weird to say, because back before they bought Marvel and Lucas, they weren't the box office juggernauts. They were doing nice little family movies.
Yeah, this movie came out in September of 2000 and actually rescued one of the worst months in cinema history with its box office.
That seems like something that you might have looked up.
See, I told you. Yeah.
Or did you know that off the top of your head?
No, I did not know that off the top of my head. But yeah, what's really funny is, I don't want to mispronounce his name, Boaz Yakin. Man, his writing and directing credits aren't exactly great, but he crushes it in this one. I imagine Bruckheimer was there a lot of the way to kind of help things along, but I mean, he did Uptown Girls as one of his only other notable directorial movies. He wrote the 1989 Punisher. He wrote Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. So, he's not material.
Don't cross me, Prince of Persia.
Oh man.
So all right, so then the players are like, we've had enough of this. The community's pulling us apart. We went to camp for 2 weeks to get pulled together. We got to go back to where we started. They have a big team meeting without the coaches and decide that they're going to act as one team. And this is before they've pulled Ray at this point. He's still part of the team.
Yeah.
But they decide that they're going to have a very specific, brand new way to take the field. And it is the most well choreographed football move I've ever seen any team achieve at any given time. Do you think it was this clean? Like the lines were this clean, the spacing was this clean, the dance moves were this good?
In all the looking up, I never saw that this was a real thing that they did. I feel like this is very Disney.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's based on a true story. This isn't like a documentary. It's based on a true story.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like they took some liberties with, I don't know, Titanic when they made that one. So there's very possible that
I'm pretty sure that's a documentary.
is it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just know what you tell me. So it was in this game that that Rev breaks his hand and can't play anymore, and then Gary makes the decision to pull Ray out of the game. So, and then
the right call. It's the right call. Yeah. You take care of each other. There's a bond amongst teammates, man. Like anybody who's played a team sport, you know that you're not doing something to get your teammate hurt. I don't know. I take teams very, very seriously, and I think it was horrible what they did, and I certainly hope that wasn't something based in reality. That was something they made somebody look villainous for.
So in this scene with Gary, when he's explaining this to Coach about why this should happen, he reminds me of Josh Brolin playing Tommy Lee Jones, but playing James Dean.
Okay, I could see that. He's very sweaty. I did not realize how sweaty he was in that close-up.
He had just played.
It has to be hard. Yeah, it has to be hard to act under those conditions, man. Like, you're all sweaty. I don't know. Sometimes I think, we don't pay our actors enough, and then sometimes we're like, man, we pay them way too much. It's a line.
There's a misdirect, sort of, in this movie where he comes to visit Gary in this neighborhood, and the police car pulls up, and you're like, this is where the policeman is going to be. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. And the policeman rolls down the window, looks at him, goes, "Great game." And you're like, good, because I didn't. We've had so. I don't know.
I could not deal with this right now. I was like, we're doing escapism watching a film, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Too real.
Yeah. I don't know. There was a lot going on in this movie, and there
is a lot going on in this movie, and I feel like we're doing a good job discussing it without going too far any which way, because we're here to talk about the film. We're here to talk about things that are deep in the plus, and this movie might not be deep, but we're going to give you that knowledge that is deep.
Yeah, absolutely. So this guy, we don't like him. He's a bad guy.
No.
Yeah.
No. There's a lot of bad guys in this.
There are, and he's like, he pulls Yost aside and he's like, we're going to get you that job, and the way they're going to do it, we don't know, but we're going to get you that head coaching job, and we're going to get you in the Hall of Fame. And then he's watching the game, and the next game, they're throwing penalty flags at every move that the Titans make, and so he goes out and he challenges it. It's like, dude, just call the game for real. What
Patton's best moment in the movie, like really, really well played.
Yeah, but I mean, the refs on the team seem super sketchy. Like, and not only were they sketchy, but the actors who play them, like, I want to punch this dude in the face. Like,
some of them were real referees, which is really funny. Like,
well, if this guy was acting, he was doing as a ref, and he was acting as they
have very punchable faces.
This dude, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he's like, let him play, and then they're like, oh, well, I guess you're never getting into the Hall of Fame. So, It's yeah. There's a lot of decisions that they have to make along the way. There's a lot of bonds formed. There's a lot of bad guys. The scene where Boone hands the other coach a banana.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because he wouldn't shake his hand, and
Well, he called him a monkey in an interview beforehand.
right, but
Yeah,
he wouldn't shake his hand,
yeah.
and then when he did that, I think he decided to throw the banana at
You
him.
think he had it, and it was like, all right, well, we'll see how this turns out. Like,
I
when you
do,
get some sportsmanship, yeah, okay, I
I
can buy
do.
that. That seems like a Boone move.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I do see this scene where she comes up afterwards and she's like, you know what, maybe I've been a horrible person, and I'm not quite ready to not be horrible, but I want you to know I'm going to try not to be horrible, but I'm not there yet.
I'm making moves towards not being horrible.
Yeah, and
Just slowly.
he's just like, good for you, girl, good for you. Which I mean, it would have been better to me had they had this moment where she was like, I've been wrong all along. Let's have this.
We don't get that, and I mean, it pays the emotional ticket there. I think it's a much better place. What would have been really good if you dumped your ultra hot girlfriend because she's super racist. That would have been the good move, Gary.
Yep. So then Hayden has got this yet one more
Oh
just
God,
stellar
man.
scene. Like she's out there with her dad. It's after the game. They know that he's explaining to her that he's made a moral decision and it's going to take him out of the running for the Hall of Fame. And it's just again, she's just amazing in this role. So kudos
Pitch
to her.
Perfect. Yeah.
That's a different movie. I don't
Oh.
really want to talk
Is that
about.
on the deep in the? We can talk about that
Nope,
deep in the
nope,
plus.
nope.
Are there any acapella movies we can talk about on Disney Plus?
Pentatonics, the true story. No,
Get
we're
them
not
out of here.
You hate
I'm a straight
Pentatonics.
no chaser guy.
Yeah. So I mean, there's been a lot going on in this movie,
Yeah.
and we're on the home stretch because everybody's won. Moral dilemmas were had. The neighborhood comes around. They like Coach Boone and his family now. They're going to all celebrate, and then it's rough. And Gary gets in a car. And this reminds me of the La Bamba movie where Richie Valens says, "I'm going to be a
Oh
star,"
man.
and stars don't fall out of
Oh.
the sky. I
Oh
mean,
God. Why did you have to bring that up? I think I had purged that from my memory. Oh.
so Gary gets in this car accident, and he is crippled by this car accident, and so the entire team rallies, and it goes to see him, and it's just it's like it's heartbreaking, and it's so it's like, oh man, we had like 20 minutes till the end of this movie. Why'd y'all do this to us? And again, based on a true story. So he mentioned something casually about like I hear there's an Olympics for people who are in wheelchairs, and then they talk about that in the post or during the end credits that he did win a medal. But then we find out that what brought all these folks back together at the very end, which was the beginning, which again, the trope, is that he dies. And so when he dies, they all come to his funeral. I think they do a good job of making them look like they're 10 years older without like a lot
Yeah.
of makeup and everything. They've got some
Yeah.
cheesy like facial hair or some thinning hair or some, I don't know,
Yeah.
but they do a good job of making it look like, okay, this guy's 10 years later. And they're at the funeral, and then they have the moving moment where they sing na 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 hey 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 goodbye as they walk away.
And I'm like, I'm not gonna cry.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
I'm not gonna cry. Oh, there it goes.
And then you're already crying.
Yep.
So I mean, it was a good movie. I do like the fact that they have all the little captions at the end. But I was really expecting oh, that character who you didn't know, he went on to become Rodney Peete, or I mean, like I wanted it to be like something like amazing like that, but it doesn't look like any of them really went on to huge NFL.
Well, I mean,
careers.
Bertier did have the Paralympic stuff, and Bass. I said originally he went to UCLA. He went to USC. He played pretty well at USC. But I mean, it's the real reality for most people who play high school football. There's not football after high school for a lot of people, and for some there's football in college, and there's a lot of people there's not football after college for. So it's that whole good old days. The liberty that Disney took in this situation is Bertier. The accident did happen in 1971, but it was after football season. He played in all the games. So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, this has been a journey, and I appreciated being able to go back to this movie.
Me too.
But and so for that, I thank you, sir. But I do need to ask you that one final question, because I feel like I know what you're going to say, but I need to ask it anyway. And again, if you guys haven't already, please give us a thumbs up so other people can find this. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. But Patrick Hackett. Would you recommend this movie?
Man, it was tough at times to watch this movie, especially with motions wildly at the outside world. But it really brought me back to a place where I was trying to make friends in college. This came out in the middle or beginning of my freshman year of college, and it helped me bond with people. And on the whole, it is a star-studded cast with most people giving really good performances. Rob said he thinks it might be Denzel's best movie. I don't think it's Denzel's best movie, but it's one of his best acting performances, and definitely better than what he won the Academy for. I 100% think you should watch this movie. There's a lot of difficult conversations going on in the world today, and if you can take a movie like this to help you along the way and kind of help explain where we came from and how we hope not to go back there, I think you could, it could serve you well. And if not, it's entertaining. There's funny people.
Okay, sorry, I didn't anticipate you well enough. So what I want to say though is that I agree with you that it's a tough movie to go back and watch, especially when you know that things are going to happen. That's true of a lot of Disney movies. You go back and watch Up, you got to get past the Ellie thing. You go back and you watch Bambi, you got to get past the mom thing in the beginning. All of them have those moments, but that's what makes a lot of these movies good, is that emotional journey that you take. So it's one of those that I'm not going to always look forward to going into Disney Plus and finding this movie, but I was happy to go back and revisit it. And if you've never watched it, now that it's football season, the Washington football team is 1-1. If you weren't paying attention, it could be a better season for them. Who knows? It's probably not. I'm probably just living a pipe dream. But I do love football, and I don't think there are a lot of great football movies. I think that there are a lot of good baseball movies, but I don't think there are a lot of great football movies.
I think hockey has the highest rate of good movies to movies out there. Like, most hockey movies are really good, but like football has a lot of middling. You have The Longest Yard remake. There's a few other ones.
Everybody's All-American. Did you ever see that one?
No, I've never even heard of that one. You got me on that one.
I think
Any Given Sunday's kind of terrible revisiting it, but yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I got you. Yeah, it's not. This might be the best football movie. I don't know. Maybe people will say Rudy. I can see that, but it's a good football movie.
Yep. No, I agree.
Good football action too.
I think that Quicksand was The Replacements with Keanu Reeves, is what I meant to say.
I love The Replacements, but it is a very bad movie.
So I would say you should watch this movie. It doesn't tie back in to a lot of like Disney things. I don't feel like I've never been to the wide world of sports, but I assume there's not a Remember the Titans section of that.
Could they have done anything in parks with this? That was something I kind of brought up to myself because it was a huge hit. Could you have had like the Titans on parade or something like that? I don't know. You could have had them come out and do the
little shuffle
routine.
dance.
Yeah, I just feel like at that time there was a lot more like this was big. Put it in the parks immediately, not wait 10, 12 years and then put it in and hope people still remember. What's up, Tron?
Well, there was a time when there was talk of a fifth gate, and it was all rumor and speculation. But one of the things that they talked about was a villains park, and one of the things they talked about was a sports park, and a sports themed park. And so if they'd done something like that, you've got so many movies. You know, you could do it like Animal Kingdom, where you've got the real movies of football, baseball,
Yeah.
hockey, and then the pretend movies of, you know, whatever, like The Sandlot, or I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever you want to do with that. But
Sandlot Dark Ride would be amazing, by the way.
there was a "You're killing me" line in this movie, by the way,
Yeah.
and it wasn't. I
Yeah.
forget who it was, but it was, "Oh, you're killing me, Petey." So
Yeah.
there was, I was like, oh my gosh, hey, look at that. There was also one other thing. There's a titular line that the girl at the end says, the whole "we would always remember the Titans," but
Yeah.
there's a line where Yost is getting in, you know, and getting his team, you know, his defense riled up, and he says,
It's the game where the refs were fixing it.
right, and he tells him, you got to go after him. He said, you make sure they remember. And I was like, the Titans? And he goes, forever, the night they played the Titans. I was like, you missed the opportunity to do the titular line,
Oh
and then
man,
they do it at the end.
I hate say the line in the movie, say the title in the movie.
Yeah.
One of the worst.
Yeah.
What is this? Some kind of Suicide Squad? Oh God.
They did a bit on that one, Family Guy, where he's like watching all these movies, and one of them you hear, and that's why I'm Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, and Peter's like, oh, is that why they call it that? Yeah, it's bad. Anyway, thank you for watching this with me, Patrick. I
I
enjoyed
love it,
going back
man.
to this one. Next week, like I said, we'll have Ben will be coming back to review Sorcerer's Apprentice with me, and it's gonna be a geekathon for sure. So, you know, bring your Magic the Gathering cards, and we'll have a discussion about that one. And then we're at the 50th, man. The 50th.
Yeah.
It's a week from this Friday, the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World.
Hey, if you're watching us live, timekeeping's about to blast off over at WDW News Today on YouTube, so go check that out. It's a great program. And we gotta get back on. We'll figure something out to get me back on there.
Yeah, let's do it. All right.
right.
Thanks guys for watching. Have a great night. We will talk to you soon. Take care.